Good morning, afternoon, evening, Meta Eggers, and thank you for joining us. This is Meta Egg. Let's get cracking. Now, if you're familiar with Meta Egg, for joining us, this is Meta Egg. I think I have a YouTube going in the background. I'll turn that off.
I
So,
got it.
usually we talk about movies. I'm here with my friend Brian, aka Star Wars Santa, to talk about the Star Wars series that nobody likes to talk nice about. But Brian is a person that likes to talk about what happened and not necessarily gripe about what he doesn't like about it. However, I mean, I'll give you that opportunity to tell me what you don't like about it. But first, I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Is the Acolyte a pass or a fail? Don't give me like a scale to 1 and 10. Just did it pass or fail for you?
Pass.
Okay, good.
I'll give it
Woo!
a
Well, you admit, though, it wasn't an easy road to hoe, so to speak.
Well, there are parts of it that didn't necessarily land well for me. But as a whole, taken as a body of work together, it was good. I liked it. I would like additional seasons of it. I would be happy to see the story continue. I'd even be happy to go back and rewatch the series as a whole. Um, Even though there are parts of it that really I don't I wish they had done different.
Okay, I hate to interrupt you, but I just heard a notification sound go off, and it was a Christmas Carol. Did that happen? Did that really happen?
It really happened. Sorry about that.
Dun, 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 dun. I'm like,
That's
really?
right. The
That's
Nutcracker
amazing.
theme. Yeah.
I'm not surprised, but that is amazing. That is what you call branding right there, folks.
Sorry about that.
I'm just picking on you because it's fun. That's funny. All right, let's see here. I mean, I want to kind of start, I guess, because I'm glad that you were available today. We've been trying to do this for a while, but kind of we keep passing each other. So I didn't really have anything planned for today. Sometimes I try to structure stuff, but we're just going to go freestyle. And I want to start by talking to you about the titles.
Ah.
What was that? But
That
how do
was
you feel about the setup? First off, let's talk about the format of the series itself. Is there some
um,
insight you can give me?
yeah, there's 2 things that I wish they had done. One is just to release 2 episodes a week so that instead of like a 30-minute, 35, 40-minute, you get like an hour 15 combined. That seems like a better pacing to me. Also would have allowed the story to progress without as much time between some of the episodes for people to kind of pick things apart because they didn't have answers yet. And then the second thing is I would have put the 2 flashback episodes together. Like one point of view, then the other point of view, because there wasn't anything. I don't believe there was anything in episode 7 that spoiled anything from 4, 5, and 6. I've got to go back and watch it in that order. So I would have done 1, 2 on the premiere night, which they did.
Yeah.
Then I would have done 3 and 7 the following week. Then 4 and 5, which are the 2 fight episodes where they go to Kelnaka's planet, or where Kelnaka's hiding, and then
Wait, wait,
we
wait,
get the
wait.
reveal the Chimere is the stranger. Then you get 6 and 8
6 and 8.
together.
I
Yeah.
see. So not only would you have done them 2 at a time, you would have done them in a different order as well. Do I understand that
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's yeah, because I think you're right. Like 7 may change our perspective, but there's such a big jump between 3 and 7 that it's almost aggravating because we know that we didn't get to see everything. It's not like It's not like we fell for it. You get what I'm saying? Because we looked at it and we're
Exactly.
like, well, obviously, and
Exactly.
we knew that those things were coming. What you're saying is it would have probably been more well received if they were just boom, boom, right back to back.
Right. Exactly.
The
There wouldn't have
punch of
been
it being contrasting would have we still would have gotten that, and would not have changed anything about the episodes that were in between.
I believe so. I wanna go back and rewatch it in that order just to confirm my memory.
Yeah.
Um,
But I know I
but I
think I
believe
think
that.
that you're right, because specifically on 6, I was confused because when it ends off, Soul has May. I'm gonna get this so confused, right? Soul has May
Mhm.
on the table, and he's like, "Well, there's something you should know," or something like that. And
Yeah,
I thought that was like, okay, he thinks that that's Osha, and he's basically going to confess, but he already knows it's May, so that doesn't make any sense. It's like, okay, so we're going to have this flashback because he's about to tell it to us. But then
right,
after, when I was watching it, I was like, no, that's not what happened. Like, they just
right,
basically inserted the flashback there, and it really had nothing. It wasn't set up in front of with a narrative. It
correct.
was basically just boom, we're in a flashback again.
Exactly. And
So it
then
was confusing.
right, I agree with you. In 6, as you mentioned, it ends with him having OSHA restrained, and then 8 opens with her in the restraints. So I don't think there's any issue with
Yeah.
putting 6 and 8 back to back.
No, there's definitely weirdness. Like, I couldn't figure out if they were just doing it that because my theory is that they were, and I'm getting this from other articles. I could probably do better research and find the articles, and we could read it and so forth and so on. But I read an article right at the breakdown of the first two, and talking about they're basically opposites, right? Because you have lost, found, revenge, justice, but it's very confusing because you don't know which is which. You don't know who's lost, who found. You could say it for either or. And those words are kind of said, but they're not said directly. Like, it's like some, you know how like some TV shows, whatever the title is like something said during the episode. Star Wars does that a lot. But it will be just like one phrase that one character says, and then that will be the title. That's not what's going on here. They're basically trying to tell us, like, they're kind of theming, they're giving us themes for the
Yes,
whole series.
yes.
And so the next one number 3 is destiny. And the opposite of destiny is choice. So they should have just put those two together and had
Right,
like a
3
slash, right, and call it destiny. Could have gotten that totally out of the way. And then the
yes.
next thing they do is like day and night. Of course, that's kind of, there's a little bit of symbolism going on there because Soul's name implies the sun, so to speak, right?
Mhm.
And there's a lot of like moon and night symbolism with the twins. Like
Well,
they're
in
they're
Khmer, there's a variant of Arabic. I've heard this from others. There's a
mm,
variant of Arabic where Khmer is a variant
hmm.
of the word moon. So soul,
Oh,
sun,
no, that's
Khmer,
good. Let's
moon.
check that. Let's fact
Yeah.
check that, because that's good. Because that's definitely like almost overly saturated in the series as these weird symbols that involve like eclipses and shadow symbolism, which all has to do with like light and light casting dark, and all of that is just like implied and really thick in all of this. So the fact that they would do like the basic main characters are like sun, moon. It's so simple. I don't know what OSHA means. I really don't know what May means. And I to be honest with you, like I haven't even watched like very many Easter egg videos to find out what they mean. But that seems on the nose.
There you
Where
go.
is
I got
I can't find my.
Qamar, Qamar
You find it?
is Arabic for moon.
Moon. That spells moon. Oh, I've got too many windows open. I'm trying to look that up and you beat me to it. Okay. Here we go. Let's get back to the show. So, I mean, that's for certain then, right? That's like
Yeah, you
pretty
should be able to put in
steadfast that was intentional.
Qamar, right?
Oh, there. Okay, cool. I found my window. Dastard. Chimere. Right? Is that how you spell it?
So if you put in instead put in Qamar and
QMMAR.
Arabic. Qamar and then Arabic.
Arabic.
It gives you a real nice definition.
Moonlight.
QA.
Natural satellite or moonlight.
No, QA.
QA, right. I spelt it wrong, but it gave it to me right here.
Okay.
So here, there.
Yeah, there you go. That's it.
So that's for sure and for certain, bro. So,
Right.
okay. They should have just done day and night then, because this is Soul's time, right? This is where Soul's shining. He's leading this group. He got it all figured out. He's being valiant. And then this is Chimere's time, where that whole night is just nothing but lightsabers in the woods, man. What an epic episode. That's probably my favorite episode of this whole thing.
What illuminates the day? The sun. What illuminates the night? The moon.
Right.
Yeah. It's so perfect.
Yeah, it's so perfect. It's very, and see, this is why I think that people are a little, they're either way too expectant or they're just so turned off that they're not even paying attention because everybody has already told them that this is bad writing. I mean, they've been told that this is bad writing and that it was going to ruin Star Wars and all of that nonsense for months. And I think that they got brainwashed, but I'm not necessarily like apologizing for any failures of this series. I just don't, I think that it's a lot more layered than people give it credit. I just don't think people care anymore. I think that they're just like so put off and don't want to be ridiculed by other people that they're just going for clicky icky right now.
Mm-hmm.
Getting those icky clicks.
Well, it's monetized that way. And what are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, if you have a video that says Leslie Headland ruins Star Wars and it gets 2 million clicks, then everybody else is going to pop onto that trend and make their basically gripe because it gets clicks. But what I'm saying is this is like toxicity. And this is, I think that we're in for a long election year. Let's not get political, but that's what we're heading for, is basically politics going straight, or basically Star Wars is turning in. I mean, it's been politically divided for a long time because of like the gray council and all of that nonsense. Like, we shouldn't be surprised. This is some people who have been around YouTube longer than I have already gone through this crap like 4 times. Right.
And it is platform kind of run as well. You sent me a really good video of the guy who started Patreon.
Yeah.
And sort of the reason he started it, or I don't know that he started, he's current like chief tech officer or something like that. But he was succeeding really, really well on YouTube as a platform, but then YouTube changed the way it operates so that they are more profitable. And that's good for YouTube, but it's not necessarily good for the content creator because it drives content creators down a path towards helping YouTube make more money, not necessarily towards putting out the best content specific to what they're doing. So, that's why you end up with so many, they almost seem like clone channels,
Yeah.
different face. It's funny because, you know, within Star Wars, we have, you know, count them how many masked figures who are saying the same thing on their channels, just a different mask. And so you get some of that going on.
Yeah, I think that that's exactly what's going on because you have, I mean, that's like, that's the archetype for Zero, right? What's his fuck name? Not Frank
Well,
Zero. We like Frank Zero. I'm talking about Mike
Mike
Zero.
Mike Zero, he doesn't wear the mask, but you have Doomcock that does,
Oh
your,
yes, yes. But
um,
that's the thing though. They're just basically
Melvin
spitting
does.
out like the
Yeah,
Star Wars clickbait like 5
right,
times a day. But if you
right.
really watch it, there's like no substance there outside of basically playing the game that is YouTube. But as you pointed out, like YouTube is geared to make what's most beneficial because YouTube used to be geared towards making art and finding an audience for the stuff that you create. And it has since become a thing that is geared to making creators make more profit for Google.
Right.
And that creates the whole like dependence on the algorithm or like this algorithmic worship or where everybody's giving the algorithm what they need, whether it's good for them or not.
Yeah.
But I think that I think when you do that, you have way too much invested in the YouTube thing and not necessarily invested in what you want to make or what makes you happy.
Well, yeah,
And
I think there's a serious issue there with the mental health of content creators. Um, how healthy is it to spend your day chasing the algorithm where you're creating content that benefits YouTube, Google, versus content that benefits you, holistically as a human being?
holistically, what a great way to put it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Because it's not, and I don't think like I've read books on this because it was based off of the popularity and the analyzation of social media post that people figured out like negative gets more clicks and shares. People share what has a negative impact on them more often, but what that does is it means that social media and YouTube is benefited by negative content. Also, individuals like CNN and things of this nature, in order to compete, to be what they used to be, have to be more negatively slanted for people to just even pay attention to them.
yeah. Anger, fear, and aggression, right? It's a perfect Star Wars thing, right? It
Right, it's a perfect
leads
Star Wars thing.
It is, and, those emotions lead to actions more than contentment, happiness, fulfillment, right? So if you're trying to energize a base to do something, you can get more of that done. It's a path that leads to the dark side, right? It's an easy way to get people, mobilized for whatever it is. So if a mobilization is drawing more subscribers to your channel, then yes. If the mobilization, you kind of brought up politics, but if it's to get a voter in the booth, then that's what that'll do too, right? And that's what they just more and more and more of our culture on all sides, you can see it. You can see it very plainly, especially once the light's been turned on and it's, evident, then it's easy to see.
Okay, going back to the stuff again, going back to the IP, talking about IP again, what do you make of what Chimere is after? Okay, so. Okay, where do I start? Let's go to the last episode, the Acolyte episode. There's like a really weird Easter egg when they're leaving the island. You see like this Nosferatu creature kind of peek out.
Yeah.
Who that?
Oh, that would be Palpatine. You know Palpatine from the Star Wars,
Right, of
the
course.
the Emperor. That's his Sith Lord. That's his Sith Master, the guy who trained him, and his name is Plagueis. So that's who it
So
is. It's Palpatine's boss, basically.
that is definitely Plagueis. Like that's the right species and all of that. And people were kind of upset because we hadn't seen him yet, but that's confirmation on who that is, right?
It is. We got confirmation after the fact. They kind of let it out there, like, is it? But then through interviews, it was confirmed. Yes, that is 100%.
Okay, so
Plagueis.
what we know, tell me when I get something wrong, right? What we know is that these girls were created using the Force in a non-male environment. At the end of the series, it's kind of like exhibitioned to you that they're not twins, but the same person. However, they are clear saying we're not the same person, right?
Yeah, the OSHA, in fact, says it directly to May when they're kids. And then she says, "We are well, yeah." It's a direct quote. She just says, "We are not the same person."
Right.
And
We don't think the same. We don't like the same stuff. We're not capable of the same stuff. We don't like and in fact, I want secrets. I want stuff that you don't know about.
right, right.
And
And
s-
I want there's a real thing that happens with identical twins in real life. Many of them embrace being identical twins. They dress the same, they have the same hairstyles, everything they do same.
that's a common
Then they're
thing for twins to have,
yeah,
the opposite of where they're like, I want to be completely different
I'm
than
tired of
you.
being confused. Yeah, I'm tired of being confused for you. So I'm going to cut my hair different than you. I'm going to wear different clothes than you. I'm going to participate in different activities than you because I want to be myself. I want to be an individual. So when we see that, even though these girls, so what seems to have happened, and there's a little bit of obscurity here, the two were made from one. That was
Power of
told to
one, the
us.
power of two, the power of
But
many. It's
not only
implied.
that, but in the end, when Soul is talking to him, says, "You're not really twins.
Right. You're
You're
the
really
same person.
one person that's been split into two."
Right. So
Which
there we can okay.
we don't know
Based
the source of the one.
based on the titles, we can consider them opposites, or at least two polarities. They kind of switch because that's what
Yeah,
happens. They definitely switch. Like
yeah,
one is simpatico with the Jedi, the other one's simpatico with the dark side. By the end of the series, one is like right there with the dark side, and the other one's with the Jedi, and they're
yep,
both morally speaking parked there. So
right.
they totally
So
do this thing.
it bears noting that there's been left open this possibility that the one was created through natural means of some sort, but the two were split using magic of the virgins in the force. We don't know for certain that the one, the initial impregnation was made through a manipulation of the force and that's left for potentially a future story.
We can assume that Plagueis is trying to figure out how they did it in the same way that we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And he
And
has some
we can
interest.
assume that he knew what happened too. Somehow, because of what Chimere says when he goes, I'm after the power of 2. And
Yeah.
maybe when I first heard that, I thought it had something to do with the Sith, right?
I thought it had to do with the witches because of the power of 1, the power of 2.
Power of 2.
There's
So he knows
because of
what
the
he knows.
verbiage.
So we're in agreement. You agree. He knows they were created. He knows about them. That doesn't necessarily mean he knows how it was done.
Well, I don't know that he knows they were created. I think he knows that the 2 of them have a because both have been in his presence in one way or another, right? Let's again, we're left a little bit to fill in the blanks ourselves. But when presumably when OSHA was training, or I mean May, go back to the start. When May was training with Chimere, she probably went to that place and spent time in that cave. Probably. If that's where Plagueis is hiding out, then he has sensed her force presence, her presence in the force, all of that. May leaves. OSHA comes back, also in the cave. Plagueis would sense that, oh,
They're the same
this is the
person.
same as the other lady that was here before. So now I'm curious. What's this about?
Okay, so
Does
we
he
don't
know
know.
that
We
they
don't
were
know how much they know. We don't know if they were specifically after going after both of them. However, we can assume that this is direct lineage to what happens with Anakin, and that at the very least, Plagueis is going to try to take whatever he learns from these 2 and copy it himself. Now,
Yeah.
whether or not it's directly whether or not Plagueis made Anakin, we don't know. However, because perhaps Anakin is a response to whatever, like the Force trying to balance out whatever Plagueis is doing. And so Plagueis tries to create one bad person and it creates Anakin or whatever. We don't
Right.
we don't have enough information to sort that out, but we
Right.
know they have something to do with each other.
Yeah. Yep. And then so that's the a question we have here for these girls. Same as with Anakin. We don't 100% know how he was created. All the, all the dots. We have a couple points of reference and we can kind of make a line between them, but we don't know for sure that that's exactly the way it goes. It's the same here with OSHA and May. You're like, you're more than twins. You're not exactly twins. You're the same person that's been split. Did the split happen, or did the initial happen through a creation of
Were
the
they
force? The split
were they
happened by the
created as one and then split, or was one already created and they split into 2?
right. Right. We don't know, was the initial creation an act of the force or an act of nature? We don't know. And then were they split using the virgin? Well, they were split using the virgins. Either way, we know that part. We just don't know.
Wait. They were split using the virgins, which you mean the
Yeah.
witches?
Yeah. The
So you're
witches. So
saying the
there's a
witches are virgins?
no. Vergents or CE. Vergence. Virgins.
Virgins, the virgins
Yeah.
of the planet.
The
Sorry, I heard that
virgins.
way wrong. I was like, are you implying that the lesbian witches have never had sexual relationships with a man, Santa? That's a bold statement to say.
Virgins. ENCE.
Virgins.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about that.
Yeah.
So, can we imply, again, speculation, putting on our tinfoil hats, can we think that there's other virgins out there? Convergence or whatever they're called. Like there's more planets. I mean, we kind of already know like Dagobah or whatever. Is that what Dagobah is? Is that what's happening when Luke goes down to the
There
cave?
are other vergences in the Force, other places where the Force is very, very powerful. All right. Um, and it would appear that this planet has one of those places. And some interesting parts. You see where they're doing the initiation rite, the ceremony by the big hole in the ground. Um, at
Yeah,
nighttime.
big hole in the ground. The big,
Yeah, yeah.
the
There's a big
big
hole in the ground.
vaginal witch coven thing where life spews forth. Okay, I'm
More than
sorry. I didn't mean to make you blush. You are blushing, but go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
maybe more than you think. Uh, Leslie said that so the show creator said that this um, in her mind creating it, that some miners of a civilization that was there. We see lots of ruins where this there was a previous civilization that's fallen. There's some structural pieces here and there that have been overgrown.
A
That
hyperspace disaster is what you're referencing, right?
no, she actually says it came because they dug too deep. Go back to like the mines of Moria. And
Oh, that's right.
they released a power that they couldn't control.
Oh, I
And it
remember. Wait.
destroyed.
She referenced The Thing by John Carpenter.
Right.
I remember reading this because okay. So they dug in and like punctured a force chamber or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Risman is rousing you. He's like throwing some. You have a problem with this ship, huh? You don't
I don't
think?
like
Oh,
it.
I don't know if his name is if his name means the moon. We all know that the ocean is directed by the moon. Like she's definitely there's some romance there, bro. The sexual tension is
The
off the
tidal the
charts.
tidal waves are certainly influenced by the pull of the moon. Yes.
And then this is your response. Get out of here, Risman. Okay,
Uh,
and then we have this guy. He goes, two Anakins. This has been a theory that's been on the board for a long time, right? The whole idea that the whole idea that Anakin is a response to whatever Plagueis is doing. You've heard this, right? What do you think
I
about
have
that?
I have there's there's different ways. My favorite, I would say, is that uh, Plagueis was manipulating the midichlorians to create life and may have succeeded with uh, Anakin. He may be the instigation of the force that created Anakin. The response could very well be Grogu because they have the same relative age. Anakin
Okay.
and
Oh,
Grogu.
okay. Because I knew that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting like chill bump. Okay, wait. Let me process. I knew that. I knew that they were the same age. So what you're saying? No, what that this would make sense though, right?
Right.
That would make sense. They were trying. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah.
So that make Grogu more important than anybody knows right now, and it's only due to the lagging of his aging that we wouldn't have known up until this point.
Yeah. And
Because
it
he would
very well
develop
could be like
his counterpart, Anakin, like was born, rose to prominence, was destroyed, continued on as Darth Vader, and then died when he killed the Emperor. and Grogu's still just like, that can't even talk.
Right. Right. There's other thoughts. Well, I have my theories on that too. I don't want to get us too far from the Acolyte because I want to come back to this. That perhaps the species itself, Yoda, Yaddle, Grogu, are all force created in response to an event. So 700, 800 years before
They're
this time,
they're
700 and
virgin.
whatever
They're,
years, something
oh,
happened and
so
the
okay,
force created
wait.
Yoda.
So we're not
Right?
talking about virgin births. We're talking about virgin births.
Yes. Yes.
It's it could be that nobody knows the species of the Yodas or where they come from or their planets just because they're not necessarily a species. That's what happens when the force through virginces or whatever creates.
Yeah. Yeah. Which would also explain why Yoda has so much power in the force. Yaddle as well, presumably, and Grogu.
And then that would lead to what Qui-Gon says when he's like, he has even more than Yoda, but that would put him in the same category as Yoda.
Right.
And their whole relationship would be based off of the Force trying to balance whatever Plagueis was making.
Right.
And then you could assume that whatever problems that were created or hiccups that were started with Anakin would be resolved with Grogu just at a later date.
Right.
I don't know. I can't shoot very many holes in that.
It's my favorite. There are other theories out there when could all be not true, but it's I like it. It
Oh,
lines up.
this is a theory safe space.
Yeah.
Meta Egg is the land of spoilers and untrue theories. But there's little golden eggs in there. You get what I'm saying? Like every once in a while, we got stuff with substance, and it's
You
like,
gotta
and
see.
sometimes it's a little prolonged. Sometimes it's like immediate. Like we might not know, we might not ever know, but holy cow, is that a lot to think about?
But you gotta see Mike Porter's comment about Yoda, Yaddle, and Grogu.
Yoda, Yaddle, Grogu are made by the Force. They are force fluid matter. They are space boogers. Force fluid, like gender fluid. They don't. They ain't made by genders. They're force fluid.
Funny. It's
They're
funny.
just
Uh,
boogers. They're
so
just what
anyway,
happens when the Force breathes in and out and collects dust. Jesus, Mike, come on.
so if you go back to one of the concerns, complaints through the Acolyte was the creation of the girls through this virgins. Presuming, if we just presume that, okay, what you think is right, which we don't know, that they were created by a manipulation of the force through this virgins, and they
Virgin
have the
birth.
same source in essence as Anakin does. Do they take away from Anakin? And this is one of the boiling points that the fandom have to fight about, right?
But no,
And
because through this, everything joins together. Like if you just allow this to happen, you get clear connection between Osha and May, Anakin, the Clone Wars, the Bad Batch, Omega, Grogu, and the sequels.
right.
And the sequels.
Well, and I think the explanation that if this happened the way that they're fearful that it did happen, are Osha and May anywhere close to as powerful in the Force as Anakin is? And Leslie has already said, no, 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 they're not even close. But that needs to, as you just said, and you need to let this mature. You need to let this story unfold before you, because what we're going to see is Plagueis, the person who perhaps created Anakin through manipulation of the Force, is going to learn. Oh, here's something that informs what I'm going to do later, right? So he's going to learn something about avergence. There's something here. How's that
There's
work?
something
How
there.
did this
How does
work?
that work? Is
And how can
Tatooine
I
one? There's
perfect
all
it?
kinds of
How can
questions.
I recreate it on at will? And how could I use it to for my purposes, right? And the girls still have free agency, right? They're not necessarily
No, they could
manipulated
swap
by.
back and forth multiple times. And
Yeah,
the only reason I say that is because the history, especially of that time period, once you get a Sith going, the Siths go back and forth. Like some of the main Jedis were Sith, were Jedi. And so, logically speaking, May and Osha may switch back. Like we don't know.
all right, right. We gotta let the story unfold. Once
We
it
have to.
once it
We have to.
unfolds, then we can draw some conclusions. But I do like that there's a potential to make a through line where you've already got in this era a little bit of the Jedi cozying up with the government just to to make nice. We'll say it that way. Right. So they're worried about things. Okay, we'll placate you. Like we're gonna make sure that you're not too concerned over what we're doing over here. But they're hiding things, right, from the Senate because it's not politically astute. So they're already becoming a bit of a politicized organization, not one that's beholden to the Senate, but one that has a relationship that has become, rather than following the will of the force, has become one of political
Bureaucracy. It's
expediency, right? Bureaucracy and all of that. So at this time, you kind of
bureaucratic.
got the underlaying of how did they become politicized? How did they become a political arm? Um, well, you kind of got some of that started here because they're already becoming bureaucratic in some ways, or at least
Right.
they're playing the politics for their own advantage, and that's beginning to go off path.
Boy, I swear though, there are some fans out there who should be eating shit because of this, because they are, oh, but what's his face? What's the guy, the cone head dude with the
Oh,
ponytail?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Uh, oh shoot,
with his head looks like a
Yadi Mundi.
yes, Keanu Monday, like, oh, savior of the world. That's what that guy's name means. So Keanu Monday goes like, okay, bro, we ain't seen Sith in like 1,000 years, but he knew about this thing. But that all's answered now because it was swept under the rug. It was a cover up. There was a
And more
cover up.
than that, more than that, what they know, the survivors know. What the survivors know. Let's say Vernestra. We'll make her the she's in lead of this investigation. She knows that a bunch of Jedi were killed by this Chimere guy. But well, first of all, by May,
Right.
followed by Chimere, right? So
Chimere.
she's made all she knew about was May. The others find out. So Soul finds out about the Chimere and Osha and May. What he reports back to Vernestra, she learns through him. When she finally gets to the planet and he's dead, she senses, this is my former student who went evil.
Right.
She
And he
doesn't
popped the
know that
helmet
this
on
is
him.
my student who became a Sith. She also doesn't know if he's got a red saber,
Well,
green saber, blue saber, yellow saber. She
it's
doesn't know.
it's exactly what they were looking for. So it kind of answers her question without she thinking that he's Sith, because she's like, oh, shoot, This is my fault. We're looking for a rogue person. We're looking for who trained him, and
Yes.
that's me.
Yeah. To some degree, she has a connection to him, right? This is a
She
Jedi
knows why
going rogue.
whatever happened in their past, she knows why he's angry. She knows
Right.
everything now. We don't. She does. Now,
She
here's a good
does.
question for you. You knew Venestra before. You
Yeah.
had extended universe Venestra experience. We'll
Yeah.
say it like not that you dated her or anything like that. but you had okay, so is this your headcanon Venestra? Or because a lot
No.
of people were complaining, was like, that's not my Venestra.
No.
After everything's said and done, what's the difference?
No. So in the books, Vernestra is the youngest Jedi Knight in history. She gets knighted at like 16 years old. And because of her age and being a Jedi Knight, she gets some pushback from other people, but she takes on some Padawans through a an accident, this High Republic accident. She ends up kind of coaching up some Padawans and then younglings. And through a course of events of those books, she realizes that things are not necessarily following the will of the Force, but following political pressure. And she says, I'm out. And she leaves. She's like, I need to go recenter myself on the Force. And she takes this bearish vow that we saw the guy here. And she goes away for like an entire year where she meditates and she stays away from the Jedi Order.
She takes a
There's a way,
sabbatical.
she's a way seeker. Back when she's in her late teens, 17, 18 years old, when she is coaxed back to the order, they're like, we need you. Things are really bad. We need help. She's already dealt with this issue of saying, when bad things happen, you cover it up, or there's all other stuff. Right? I need to stay in line with the will of the Force. So when she comes back, she's still very in tune with the Force, and she's kind of pushed out some of these other influences. And now we see where she's completely affected by the political influences and not that. Now, that
She's
being
become
said,
older. She's more jaded. Like,
there's been 100 years in between,
yeah,
who I was when I was 21 and who I am almost 57,
right.
very different. That's just a course of 35 years.
We're
Do
talking
100
about
years.
because completely, she could be a completely different person.
Yeah, Vernestra's 100 years older than she was in the books. Still
Right.
not consistent with the character in the books, which is frustrating.
All right. Well, okay. Let's return to the chat for a second because Mike Porter has been dropping some bombs. So Mike Porter says, I will now call Yoda, Yaddle, and Grogu space boogers. I have a response to this, and that is I will too, Mike Porter. And I will add that their names also sound like the what the grottle sounds that your neck makes when you're spitting out a loogie. Yoda, Yaddle, Grogu. So it's like this makes sense and has now been added to headcanon. Thank you, Mike Porter. Mike Porter also says this is a great team. Meta Santa, I love it because Christmas and Easter eggs go together. But we can put Meta Santa. I might go back and just label everything we did like Meta Santa number 1, Meta Santa number 2, Meta Santa number 3. And then Mike Porter goes, Willie Will should be Will Morgan's rap name. And I have a response to this too, Mike Porter. Who told you it wasn't? No one said it wasn't. All right, and let's see. Okay, when Vern was throwing Soul under the bus, she was talking about herself there, not Soul. Oh, that's meta. Well
That is
done.
meta.
Sabersmith is out there, bro. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, And in a lot of ways, it's true because she didn't. I mean, you've seen this on like cop shows or something like that, where cops will have an individual that they've basically made the patsy or the bad guy that they blame everything on, although actually that person was a moral person. Like, and that is really sad to see because I'm going to be honest with you. Soul, that actor's performance made that series.
Yeah.
And it got like, no matter what he covered, whether he was portraying himself as like slightly selfish and misled, or whether he was standing his ground and being a damn Jedi, it was gorgeous to look at, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Now, there's a great point with that you raised that I've been wanting to discuss, but I keep letting it get out of my grasp. Is that there's a parallel with Soul wanting to make decisions for Osha in her best interest, regardless of what she wants. So he decides, I'm going to take Osha as my Padawan because she wants to be a Jedi. I'm going to take her as my Padawan. And he goes back, and when the coven is kind of pushing back, he's like, I don't care what you want. I'm taking her with me. Vernestra even or not Vernestra, but Indara tells Soul,
has to do with what you want.
you're not ready for a Padawan. And he's like, I need a Padawan. And
Right.
then,
That's what
so
you want. That's like what
it
you're
becomes
going
this,
after. That's your whole motivation is like,
it
I
becomes
want somebody to look up to me.
it's a father-daughter situation that he wants to have. And that's an important one. He wants to have,
She
right?
kills him, bro. She kills him. Like, you
Yeah.
said something to me about Leslie Headland's motivations for writing the series had to do with her relationship to her sister.
Yeah.
There is definitely an undercurrent through the entire thing of people's expectations of other people and how they would want them to behave
Yeah.
considered to what the other individual wants. That's
Yeah.
like undeniable.
I was personally involved with a young lady that went to our church, and her father was a very controlling type regarding daughters. Believed very much that daughters should never live alone. They should always be under the house or the head of a man. And refused, when she turned 18, refused to let her have her birth certificate, refused to let her get a driver's license, refused to let her leave the house without her older brother escorting her or going with him. Um, and I was involved with an escape that she made from that situation. I still have a relationship with her now, but she ended up traveling different places, living far away before she came back. So I've seen where somebody under a very strong religious belief system want to control their daughters. And Soul very much kind of mirrors that sentiment. And when she learns the truth, why didn't you tell me? Well, he was afraid they were going to take her away. She's afraid that she would leave. He's like, this possession of his would flee. And he didn't want her to flee. So whether it's not telling the Jedi Council because they'd take her away from him, make her train somewhere else, or send her back, kills her mom because she was in the way of him taking her, or doesn't tell her as she gets older because she would leave him, right? Like, he didn't want those things to happen. So I see very much that Leslie wrote that into the character. He portrayed it, but the story didn't have enough time to let that germinate, I think, to show it sufficiently.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's kind of echoed in other people's storylines too, like what we said with Venestra and everything. It's just from like a different angle of individuals basically manipulating other people to get. I mean, this is even what's his face, Thorin. Like, why I want off this planet. I got to get off this planet. So he he ignored ethics to extend his power to get what he wanted. And
Right.
everybody did this. Like all the characters, whether it be Chimere, Venestra, or all of them, are basically playing that same game.
Yeah.
And this series is kind of like highlighting the fact is like, hey, not only is like nobody right in this situation, but everybody's actually like justified from their own point of view. And
Right.
then and sort of like a lot of I've seen memes. This point has sort of gotten across because a lot of people are saying that this series is basically just encapsulated by that one thing that Obi-Wan said and the on the OG trilogy, right? And the tridge, shall we call it? And that was that, you know, what he's saying is not a lie from his own point of view. But
Right.
really and truly, how much difference is there between what Obi-Wan did and what Venestra did? Like you're basically just explaining things in a way that settles what everybody else wants, so you don't have to go into deeper explanation because they'll reject the answer anyways.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah, and
mean,
it goes against the Jedi code, and there's part of the High Republic even where they talk about possessions. Like, even their lightsabers can be things that they form attachments to, right? You can form an attachment to a thing. You can form an attachment to a person, whether it's your Padawan or whether it's a wife or,
right.
a spouse. So, we've seen this kind of differently. With Anakin, it was with Padme that he
Well,
forms
first with his mom, and then because of what happened with his mom,
yeah,
that and it's really funny because I don't think many people talk about it. I don't know if anybody else sees it, but it's really funny because one of the last things that Anakin's mom is trying to say to him is like, "Anakin, I love you." And she doesn't get it out. Like she dies and he's like, "Ah," and rages. But directly after, when they're in the cave about to go into the arena and Padme looks over it and he goes, she basically said, she finishes what his mom was unable to say. She's like, you know, I love you, blah, blah, blah. And then right when that happens, like all of that attachment he had to his mom transfers right over to Padme. And
yep,
so that creates that I don't have to be held accountable for my actions to get what I want, which
yeah,
is
well,
the
yeah,
entire Acolyte.
that's so good. Yeah, because Soul does say he forms this attachment with Osha, and even hey, Mike Porter, we'll see you later, my friend.
Take it easy,
Um,
Mike. Thanks for
at
bro,
the
coming
end
through.
where she's choking him out, basically, right before she's choking him out, he's still justifying his actions. He says to her, "The only mistake I ever made was not saving, or the biggest regret." That's what he says. The biggest regret I ever had was not being able to save the both of you. Not I killed your mom out of fear, right? He still doesn't take
He still did
accountability.
it. Well, he killed her mom because he he didn't know it was happening. She gets all transporty, dust, force witchy, and starts taking May with who he assumes is Osha.
Right.
And again, that is what he wants,
It
and you're not going to
yes.
take away what he wants. So, out of fear, boom,
Yes.
you
Yes.
don't get to take what I want
Right.
because he doesn't know what's happening. I
Right.
mean, and though, and he's justified. You're right. He's not apologizing for that act. He's not apologizing for getting what he wants. He's just saying, like, I wanted both of you. Like, I wanted to save both of you, which is,
Right.
man, it's just crazy.
My
There's a lot here. This is why I like this series, is because we could have a conversation like this for as long as the series is. Like we could go through every single episode, and what hurt, what sucks, what I feel like I feel betrayed by the fan base. It's because you couldn't even talk about this shit.
Mm-mm.
During all of this stuff that's happening, you couldn't go to somebody and say something because they would just or they would like turn it to be about them. They would make it like the Acolyte has let me down. This doesn't feel like Star Wars. We can't even talk about this shit because they cut off every conversation before you get a chance to talk.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's frustrating to have these conversations outside of like with you, right? Or friends. But
Right. This has been a
that's not to
productive
say I don't have
conversation,
my
though. I've gotten a
complaints.
lot out of it. I have to thank you. I've gotten a
We
lot out of it. Like,
well, we've spent a lot of time talking about the positives. There's a ton of negatives that I have with this show too, right? Ton of things I didn't like, but I I can't live my entire that's the way it is with Star Wars for me, right? The prequel trilogy, there's a bunch of stuff still that I hate, but I don't spend my energy and time focusing on the things I hate. I can express it, and once you express it, you kind of get that release, and then I want to look forward. I'm always trying to look forward. Where is it going? Where are we going together? And I'd like to go on the journey with my friends, and we can have these discussions and talk about what we like, talk about what we didn't, and continue the discourse. Right? I love it.
well, let's continue it soon. What do we have to look forward to? Where's the next Star Wars drop off?
So we've got the next live action is Skeleton Crew, and that's sometime around the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas.
Is there going to be anything else, like even with like toy drops or anything like
Yeah,
that
we've
between
got
now and then?
yeah we've got some toy. There's a big game being released in about a month.
Outlaws?
Yeah, we've
Outlaws is
got
coming out because I
yeah,
swear to God, I tried to bring up Outlaws, and even though I got some like static with Ubisoft, like everybody else told me that it wasn't going to be a thing. They're like, you're not going to see it next year. Don't believe the hype, but you're telling me it's coming soon.
yeah. I mean, they've done some gameplay demos. I think they've sent out to some people some um, sample copies, things like that. Uh, so yeah, it's definitely releasing within like the next month or just outside of the next month. Um, so that's the next big thing I would say. Outlaws. Then there's the
Woo,
very
that's
likely that we'll get another Tales of series release before the holidays, but we've got to wait. Um, so
the last one was in May,
D23.
right? The Tales from the Empire just came out, right? So you're saying we'll
Yeah,
get two
there's
May?
another one that's already done, but they haven't announced it yet. So we're waiting for them to announce it. I think they'll announce it at D23. Maybe there's a possibility,
Well,
unless they're
does
going to
it
hold
possible
it.
because the last one came out when the last thing as far as I remember, Tales from the Empire comes out and there's not really much about it before it drops. Like, I don't even know if people
Yeah,
expected it, but I
no, it
don't think
was
that we were told that it was going to drop.
right.
So it's possible that this comes out at the exact same time as D23. Is that
Yeah,
possible?
and it's been done. It's been done for a long time. It's just about picking a release date.
Well,
The
we don't
animation,
know anything,
everything's
but do we know what it is? Do we know if it's
I,
Tales of
I
X-Wing
do, but I
Pilot? What
can't
is it?
talk. I do, but I can't say.
Ah!
Sorry. I know, but I can't say.
What is a
Um,
Santa Claus without presents?
you have to wait for Christmas. No.
Ah!
Uh, 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 yeah. So anyway, that should be coming. We may also get another Visions drop or announcement, but I would look for Tales to come potentially before Skeleton Crew, but we got to wait. Sabersmith. I've been keeping my mouth shut. Will made me say what I just said. I've been really good. I've known for a very long time what it is. In fact,
Ah,
I've known what it is since before Tales of the Empire dropped.
okay, cool. All right, so we've had Tales of the Jedi, we have Tales of the Empire. We can only guess, the rest of us besides Santa can only guess what it could be about. But those are great. I have not like, and they add so much more. Like, even though a lot of people had problems with the Empire, I understand Morgan a lot better than before. Morgan was a character who was dead, and I was upset because I had no idea much about her, and now I feel like parts of her motivation are filled in for me. And the same thing is true with the Jedis when they went into such detail about Dooku. Like, all of a sudden, I feel Dooku is more complete. So I'm looking forward. I don't know what they have up their sleeve, but that's dope. All right. Now, look, we've gone over a little bit. I'm going to tell you thank you again. Thank you for all your support, Santa, and for joining us all today. Individuals like Sabersmith and Mike Porter, you guys have been big in the chat room. Thank you guys so much. Everyone else, if you're watching this after the live stream, go back and watch all my live streams and hit the bell, hit the notification, because I hate saying that stuff, but it helps so much, and actually saying it works.
Yeah.
But until next time, guys,
I'm really
go
sorry, Sabersmith. Blame Will. It's his fault.
Yeah. Saber is mad, boy. He's like, not okay. I'm not okay.
Yeah, he's not okay. I know. I'm sorry.
Thank you guys, everybody, and we will talk to you again soon. And until then, may the force be with you always.